But I think I can get pretty rich. No, the village board does it all, because they don't have any zoning. None. No zoning board of appeals, nothing. In fact, they don't approve us laws that have an option for a waiver for some of these setbacks. They don't approve of the I'll find out what everyone else does. When I get this money, you
better get going.
Yeah. Well, they might try to sue the village, but I don't know.
They don't take one with bill.
Or thereabouts. They may do. So we got, we're gonna pull up no, I'm not, because I am. Clear, Sleepy Hollow, the numbers changed at all for that or anything? Huh? No, Sleepy Hollow. The number of the charge. Nothing, it's gonna stay the same. Well, I wanna make sure that that's clear.
Yeah, no, everybody stays
Because
the
I don't
same.
want anybody showing up thinking
Yeah,
there's
I
$5
think
grand like,
this will tell you, it doesn't mention anything about changes. Right? Yeah, standalone.
Okay, we'll start with pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval of our minutes for our previous town board meeting on June 21st. Motion by Mr. Gibbons, second. Second by Mr. Monson. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay. The amendment to the Chittenango Solar Environmental Review that was tabled on the 21st. So it has to come up again. So what is the story on that? I thought we approved it.
No, there was,
You got tables.
Okay.
right, if I may, it was presented to the board, late, just prior, or the day before the meeting, and there were a couple of councilmen that, needed a little more information. This is essentially an escrow funded, amendment, where we had provided the final push in support of the seeker, attending the planning board meeting. So right now, we've exceeded our initial escrow authorization by 1,800 and change, and there are remaining services should this thing continue to move through the planning board or ZBA. So this would be something that the town board is our client. You as Supervisor John would sign if the board authorizes it, and then it goes to the developer. This allows us to send an invoice recognizing that we're not going to get paid until the escrow money gets deposited with you.
So So it's on the developer. Okay, so, anybody got any questions on this? Okay, okay, all in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Who made the motion?
Motion.
Who did
Okay,
it?
the motion when you tabled it, right?
Oh, I didn't keep track of it.
Okay,
Remember
all right, I'll take another motion then. Who wants to make the motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Martin, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Burkevich. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, Clear Path Skyridge Water District, accept the map plan and report, authorizing the public hearing for July 19th, 2023. Motion for this.
I'll move that.
Motion by Mr. Montroy, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Martin. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Okay, EMS building, authorization to go out to look for design build. Have that back first week in August. Which would be August 2nd. We need a motion for that.
August 2nd on
Yep.
that? Thank you.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Martin, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Givens. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, Lake Street School. You got it.
Yep, I'll take over. So this has been something we've been discussing for quite a few months now. It's the use of the gym at Lake Street Elementary. We have some lease terms, but we find they're getting down to the nitty gritty, which is the cost to lease that space from the new owner, which is Mead Properties. We've been presented with his fixed cost expenses for the year for that property. It's $27,206.41. He wants to cover his fixed expenses, and then he asked that we would pay for the heat on top of that for use of the gymnasium. So the school will be looking to move forward with this. We have two options. We can split that cost between the town and the school, if we choose to have the town use the facility also for their programs in the Parks and Rec. Or we could consider, I gave him a second page, which shows an option to do a pilot within the town. Now, they currently have an IDA pilot all ready on the books, all set to go. They would contribute $567,000 per year, or total over 16 years. If we did a couple of different options, it could reduce it by a couple $100,000, 100 to 200,000 if you look at the numbers. We divide that by the 15 years, and it adds up going from approximately 14,000 each to cover the expenses. It would save it down, knock it down to $7,500 each. It's a lot of paperwork though to go through the pilot to get to that point. So the question really is, do we really want to pursue a pilot in the town to help reduce that cost? Up to the board. I wanted to present that to you. These are the numbers that have been worked out by Mead Properties. It's been in negotiation at the school district, as well as Tanya's had a look at and come up with the option 1 and option 2 pilots that we could look to do if we want to just consider a pilot. But it ends up being almost a wash in and out at the end of the day. You're going to save money, but they're not going to pay as much money. So the real question is, do we want to go through the process? John, these pilots, I mean, is there a lot of legal?
It is a fair amount of, it's a pretty heavy duty agreement for a pilot.
Or we can just split the cost. I mean, that's really straightforward. The lease will be clean, and each year the school writes a check, the town writes a check, and then we help cover the cost of the heat, and we get used to the facility. What needs to be finally negotiated is each lease term and when the school and the town would use the facility and share the facility. They would each have fob access to get into the buildings on off hours, so there's a lot of opportunity. Last year, we did not have the use of the gym, and it was very tight for our SCC programs. We really didn't have much space for people, so this is kind of a catch-22. We're going to need to use this gym. This is what, when we the school entered into the agreement with the property owner, this was the plan all along. It's now getting down to the nitty-gritty and the numbers as to what it'll cost to use that space.
So utilities are not in.
The heat and lights are not in here.
Do you have any idea what that?
No, this does include all new package units on the roof. So this space will be isolated and run on its own. It'll be metered separately. There'll be metered gas separately.
When are you gonna have this done?
Todd needs, the IDA is going to be done in August, so we gotta make a decision on what direction we wanna go in. Because if we're gonna go into a pilot direction, then we are gonna have to get legal involved and start generating that pilot agreement. Because he would use that to replace the IDA's pilot agreement.
How does it take to do a pilot? I mean,
Get the camera out in terms of it, hard to say.
Gotta have public hearing.
A lot of procedures.
He's okay as long as he knows that that's what we were going to do.
Right.
If he said we're gonna do it, then he will not pursue the IDA. Right now, he's got the IDA in his pocket, that's a done deal. So he knows he has that cost savings that he can count on. He just wants to know if the town wants to create a different pilot and replace a separate one, not on top of, separate one in place of the IDA so that it could reduce our costs. Again, instead of collecting the money and then paying it back out.
Just collect less.
Exactly. Yep.
The school carry over.
I talked to Lori, SCC would probably come up with half of the money for us, but we gotta talk to SCC first.
Mhm. Yeah, the terms, the real critical terms are when does each entity get to use it? Because everybody's gonna wanna use it at the exact same time. So we're gonna have to play nice in the sandbox, we're gonna have to agree on times when both parties get to use it so that we can work, but without it, the school is gonna be in a pinch, and that'll even put a bigger pinch on SCC programs, that's the problem.
There was a shortage before.
There was a shortage before, now it'll really,
Well, you were down to gym,
And it will get worse if we don't have this.
it will be worse if we don't do this.
but if you're not using the gyms, the other gyms for Parks and Rec programs, that frees all that gym space up for the school programs, which that leaves one gym.
It's
full.
typically, from the school hat, with wearing the school hat, that 3 to 6 time frame is critical for practices
Right.
Mhm.
in the winter time. So I don't think, we won't use Lake Street for games. I think SCC has already indicated they would love to use that for games. It's better than Bridgeport. You don't have to pull chairs out, there's bleachers there. So I think there's opportunities. It would be a nice place for some of the SCC programs. Certainly during the day,
Yes.
for some of their exercise programs, pickleball. But Lori sent me a schedule today, and there's some needs where they want to use the mats for cheerleading and wrestling. So to be honest, they're not going to be able to we're not going to drag all the mats down there every time they want to use them. So they'll have to use stuff at the high school or at one of the schools, maybe the middle school, where there's mats instead of Lake Street. And that's where the school can move their stuff over to Lake Street. So it can be a great symbiotic relationship. Unfortunately, that's what we're gonna have to move forward with if we wanna use this gym, is some type of an agreement. The real critical part right now is, do we wanna pursue a pilot, or do we just wanna split the cost? That's really the decision that's on the edge, it needs to be
Want that today?
decided. No, but I think before the end but in our next meeting, we really should make a decision on which direction to head them in. Yep.
Everybody good? Any questions? Good? Okay. New hire at the Parks Department, Maggie Gear, rec aid, $14.20 an hour. Need a motion for that, please? Motion by Mr. Montroy, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Burchevich. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, next, Assemblyman Brian Miller is here. He's gonna introduce himself, say a few things.
Hi, everyone. I really wish I was back in town government, because things can get done. When you're in Albany, we all know we can drag on forever. But I'm Brian Miller. I'm the new assemblyman in the 122nd Assembly District. We're very happy to be here. I know I haven't been to any town board meetings before today, because we're in session from January 1st till the governor decides that all the business is done. We were there longer this year than we have been in the past, and if we can stay out of Albany, bad things can't happen. That's the way it is. There's a lot of things that are going to affect everybody here. I'll just talk about one that's really affecting the counties across New York State is how the election law has been changed, where the town, you guys are county officials too, are going to run on even years along with the president, and state officials, and Congress. And we debated that for 4.5 hours, and we couldn't persuade them to see that there was no cost savings in this. And really, the local races where everything happens are really going to be left in the dust. I'm very used to having tough congressional races every year with my race. We've had Assemblywoman Claudia Tenney, when she represented us. There was always a tough race, and there was always a lot of mailing, TV time, radio time being taken up. And that's going to happen to these gentlemen up here, or the ladies who represent us in town and county government, because we're going to be taking all the issues up, but all the issues are really local. This is where things happen, things get done. So we weren't very happy with that. But I'm here. We get very much involved. I started out as a town supervisor, and I always said the best job out there is being the town supervisor, and I truly mean it. And after that, I went on to the United County Legislature. I was a legislator for 16 years. I served on every committee. I was an assistant majority leader, and a lot of things I'm very used to that. So bringing all that experience to Albany, we're here to help. My office is right in New Hartford at Butler Hall. It's the village hall for the village of New Hartford. And if you call the office, chances are I'm going to answer the telephone. So we're here to help in any way we can help. Please tell us. I can't read your minds. And I know the supervisor's not bashful, I know that, and I'm sure the rest of the guys aren't, and ladies aren't either. So please call, we're here to help. I don't want to take up any more time of your meeting. I used to start when I was a supervisor in the town of Bridgewater, the little town of Bridgewater is where I started. We'd start at 7 o'clock, and sometimes I wouldn't get home till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. You'd think that a small town like that wouldn't have any issues, but we didn't have any zoning laws either. And we did the comprehensive plan and the zoning law in-house. So there was a lot of work over the years I was in. But I'm here to help. It was a great 4th of July, a great Independence Day weekend we had. And the weather's warm, and I won't take up any more time, Mr. Supervisor.
Thanks for
allowing me to
coming.
speak.
Appreciate you coming. Yep, thank you. Okay, no budget modifications, no firefighter applications, so.
I haven't seen any.
All right, no executive session. Anybody have anything? Yes, sir.
With regard to the Chittenango Solar Environmental Review, you're going back to the applicant to ask them if they want to increase their deposit escrow by $1,800. I wonder if isn't the second question for them, do they want to further extend that for further obvious work that's going to have to happen?
John?
Me? Oh, I mean, I think Art's right, it's probably definitely
Because
gonna be
that's all
more,
for
it's
planning.
gonna be more, right? I mean, I'm not saying
It's
anything
a
wrong, which is.
$10,000 fee increase.
Yeah.
If they require or request, the planning board requests our services beyond the 1,800 that we've encumbered, that we will provide
this one does have a number of items that are of interest to both the zoning board and planning board. Remember, there's a variance that's in this as well.
Are they moving forward?
And it- Well, they haven't been to the meeting in how many months?
They
4,
haven't
6?
Six.
I don't think they've been to us since the fall.
Yeah, so, but the planning board, they just sent a letter saying they're not ready yet. There's a legitimate request, which was, to address the wetland area at the site, look at that. And since then, they've kind of they sent a nice courteous letter saying, we're not ready, maybe next month, and they haven't sent that yet this week, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get another letter. But even then, it's gonna be, there's still a lot, I mean, the ZBA's gotta do its job first, and then the planning board has a job to do, and there's lots of agreements that have to be done, you know, assuming this is heading towards an approval, which has not been determined yet.
I only asked the question because the gentleman from BNL said, there's more work to be done here, and we're not talking about getting them to agree that they wanna pay for it, you know? You gotta ask the question.
But we have a
Before the
law,
gentleman puts
so
his
there's a
time.
law in the books that the town adopted early on about solar, which says that the developer must reimburse the town for any reasonable and necessary expenses associated with review and approval of the project. So if it were to get approved, all that stuff, no building permits would be issued, but it's a smart idea to have the money on deposit so that people aren't chasing it. I agree.
Gary?
I just want to thank Codes and the board if they had approved it for allowing 487 Damon Point Road to be mowed and then be billed on these taxes. That property and another one on Woods Road were very close to, we're gonna push to have legals, have those both torn down, and it kind of stopped at one point. I think just because it might cost quite a bit to have legal action taken to have them tear the property down. So I think maybe if it's possible, you guys could discuss that and see what it would cost. I think it would be in our best interest either to push these folks to either move forward to tear down with, you know, the crop or the buildings there that are unfit, or maybe they'd sell and someone else would tear it down.
Is that where you want to work? Or you're going next, right? Or
Yes, next week or week after. Yeah, it's coming up.
these two properties?
It's coming up. Three, we got 3 properties.
We got
I don't-
3
I don't-
properties.
I don't
Take
have
them
in
to
front of me.
court.
Yeah,
Next
they're all
week.
going, they're all have appearance.
And John's representing us in court, not Larry's.
It's,
Well, Larry's gonna be with me.
We're
And this
gonna
is
represent
the
us in
initial
court.
appearance. There won't be a trial, the initial appearance.
I think it's a good move because even when we were doing the assessment for these properties, people are buying them. You know, if the individual that's owned it does not want to move forward and tear it down, somebody else probably would. You get a house up there, it'd be a lot better tax wise than just be taking
And I think the only way you can take the property is for taxes.
I think I have the 19th, John.
I think if we push them, you know, a little bit,
Yeah.
I think you get some movement. Even if they sold it, the next guy would tear it down.
Anybody else? No? Okay, motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Martin, second. Second by Mr. Gibbons. All in favor, signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Who made that motion?
He did.
I did.
Mr. Gibbons.
Carson and Jim.
I need a pen.